What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today I had some side work come over for me to do some welding on. Like, it was something super simple. It was just welding in some plates on the bed of a truck to cover some holes that were in there from the previous owner. And to my dismay, my little welder back here, my little Harbor Freight titanium, I think kind of pooped the bed. So it's not a huge issue, it's just an issue with the trigger. But my issue with that being an issue is that it's on a long wait for me to be able to get the part. It's not something like Harbor Freight welders to get parts from. It's not just like you walk in the store and they have them on the shelf. It's not like a Miller where you can do stuff like that. So I actually had to kind of paper up, bite the bullet, and go buy a new welder. So I went down to my local welding supply shop where I always get my wire and all my gas and stuff, and they actually had a Millermatic 141 in stock, which is basically the Miller equivalent of that welder. But I mean, as much as I love this little welder, it's done great justice for the last 2 years. Miller is definitely way better by far. Like, Millers, you just can't beat how smooth they weld. Same with Lincolns and stuff like that. Any good quality welder, and it's just like so. And this being a new model one, it's got all these nice features on it, and we'll go over that. But I'm gonna unbox for you guys, and let's kind of show you what happened with this thing, eh? So this is my titanium MiG 140 from Harbor Freight. I bought this thing basically 2 years ago, if not a hair longer, to do the right-hand drive conversion on my Acura Integra, and this thing has definitely made its money's worth a few times over again. So this one runs about $450 at Harbor Freight. And as for this Miller right here, I actually got a bit of a deal on it at my welding shop. So I paid, after taxes and with a spool of wire and all that stuff, I ended up paying like $880. But yeah, so this welder, like I said, has done great justice. But the issue that I'm having is now it started like arcing inside the tip, and then now today's issue is once I hit the trigger, it doesn't want to turn off. So I don't really know what that issue is, because this welder does feature like a multi-tap, or like if you click the button a few times then it will auto feed, but that's not what it's doing. It's like I can click it as many times as I want off the arc and it doesn't do it, but as soon as it arcs, it just, no matter how many times I press it, it's bad. So it's something to do with the trigger, but you can't buy just the trigger. You have to buy the whole lead, and it's a long wait period to get it. I don't have time to wait, because if you guys know, if you've been watching the channel or if you're just stopping by, this is kind of what I do for a living now. I fix cars, I do a lot of welding, I make some stuff to sell, but a lot of my income revolves around this little guy right here. So let's unbox this new Miller and let's see what's in the box and see how this thing runs. We'll get it loaded up, we'll get the bottle hooked up, and we'll run some beads and see what it's like. Our trigger. And the machine itself. I can already tell this gun is going to be super nice to use. The one on here, pretty basic, pretty simple, pretty smooth trigger action, but this one just looks so much better, and the trigger on this one just feels so much better. And this is the newer, forget exactly, like MDX line triggers or CBX, something like that. Just normal regulator. I don't think they have their own branded one or anything special like that. I got an extra spool of wire just because I just went and bought one this morning. Like I said, it's in this guy, so I'll start with that one. But one thing I'm missing, it looks like, is my ground lead, unless they stuffed it in here, which they did. So, how nice of them. Yeah. Oh, so it's missing the actual lead for the clamp. So I gotta get my own, which I can probably just reuse this one. Yeah, I'll reuse this one. It's not an issue at all. I'll just buy another one later on, because I want to be able to fix this welder and use it as a backup in the future. Heavy duty power cable. This thing feels nice. I mean, to be fair, this one's got some pretty pretty thick wire on it as well. I've never had issues with it. The gas on this thing, not gonna lie, absolutely flimsy. The plastic broke on it right there. I don't know how well you can see it because of the light. Yeah, thing just broke inside there, so it kind of rattles around. But ground cable lead on here, not too bad, honestly. Maybe it's just because this one's newer. It feels a lot nicer for sure. And then, you know, just kind of basic installation instruction type stuff. Got your handbook right here. But I'm pretty familiar with welding, so I'm just gonna set this up real quick and we'll lay some beads. So I got the welder all set up, and I can't lie, the build quality is just making me so excited to use it. So I got it hooked up. I believe everything should be working. So let's kick this thing on. Let's run a few beads and we'll see what we got going on with it. See if it's really worth all the hype and if it lives up to hopefully my expectations. My expectations are pretty low, to be honest, so I think it'll be okay. I also want to note that it did come with the ground clamp. I said I was gonna have to reuse my old one. It was just in the bag. I just wasn't looking with the hose. And it actually also came with this. I don't really know how much I'll be using this, but it's still awesome that they have. Let me try and, yeah, well, it's a metal gauge thickness thing, so the camera doesn't want to focus. But yeah, so let's do this. So I got some scrap metal right here. I believe this is, oh, okay, I was mistaken. Oh, no, this is 3/16. So we got some 3/16 plate steel. This is some stuff that I made for some mounting plates for some bumper bars that I made recently. So let's get this kind of ground up and get the crap cleaned off of it, and let's lay a bead. On, got the gas on. So on a little welder like this, I don't know exactly how much CFH is supposed to run. I usually run around 10 to 15 for the stuff that I do, and I've always had good results. So we're gonna try that, see how it looks. Something I want to show you guys really quick before I actually get started is this thing has an auto set feature. So basically what it does is I can set my wire thickness here. So I'm going to use 0.030. That's what I'm running at the moment. So I have it set to 030 and it'll automatically set my wire speed according to my material thickness. So in this one, obviously I just set it to 3/16 because that's what I'm welding, and we'll run it and see how the computer in this thing thinks it should be, and we'll see if it actually works that well. And if it doesn't, then you can always turn it to manual mode. Just turn it off. You'll see the light turn off. But yeah, we're gonna try auto feed or auto set and see how that goes. Don't forget your safety, your PPE. I already spent all my money on this welder, so I'm just using a new Harbor Freight helmet that I have, which I gotta admit, the new Harbor Freight helmets honestly are getting quite better. This is just their normal like $40 one or whatever. I have another one that is somewhere in here, and it's very old school, to me, old school style, like just everything's green, arc is green, all that stuff. But this one has a lot more of that true color stuff. You can see a lot more in this one. I don't know what they changed over the last 2 years, but these new ones really ain't that bad. But I'd really love to get a new Miller helmet, but one thing at a time. So I just welded both sides of this. Let me turn the machine off so you can hear me a little bit better. Fan's a little noisy on that thing. That's one thing I did notice. I thought it was supposed to only kick on when you actually needed it. That's how my old welder was, but nonetheless, let's check this thing out, alright? So this side was the second side I did, so this was already preheated technically. But absolutely, it just lays so nice. You can see the heat marks on the side, looks nice and even. Good penetration. Not going to touch that with my bare hands because it's like 1,000,000 degrees. So I'll show you guys the other side. So this first bead right here on the right, I actually ran at about 1210 CFH, and the second side I ran at 15. So I think I'm going to leave it at 15 because that looks a little bit better to me. But overall, absolutely welds like butter. Like, I can't even compare them really, because the other one, don't get me wrong, my other welder for a Harbor Freight welder welds fantastic, especially coming from like a Harbor Freight flux welder. And I love Millers. I used one at my old job, Millermatic 252, absolutely amazing machine, and I could never compare anything to it that I had welded with thus far. I've only been doing this for like 3 years now, but this thing definitely welds how I think a Miller should weld. Very smooth, very effortless, and it looks good. So for those of you guys that are maybe looking into getting yourself a welder, honestly, I gotta say, if you're looking for something more budget orientated, it obviously depends on what you're doing. For me, now that I'm doing welding full time as like my own job, I'm working for myself, I wanted to invest in a unit that was gonna last me a long time. Parts were readily available to where I could just order it from Miller or go to my local welding supply shop and have them get it for me. But if all you are is a hobbyist, you're just looking to do some welding on your cars here and there, or maybe some friends' cars and stuff, I don't think you need to spend the money on this type of welder. I honestly would say go get the Harbor Freight Titanium. I used the MiG 140 again for 2 years, and I welded dozens upon dozens of complete exhaust systems. I've welded differentials, I've welded all my bumper bars, all my strut bars, everything else that I make. All my braces like this, all like strut braces and stuff, all of this was all done with my Harbor Freight welder. And it did a really good job, and I really can't say anything bad about it other than like some of the material qualities were a little poor on it, but it did its job for the last 2 years. So if you guys are looking to do a little bit heavier stuff, like a little bit more frequently, or you just want something that's going to last a very long time, then by all means spend the money on this. Again, at my local welding shop, they charged me $829 for this, and then tax and stuff, and then I also bought a spool of wire, so my total was like $888. But on the Miller website, this welder on its own is $885. So I don't know if that was just like a homie hookup type thing because I'm a frequent customer, or because they just get better deals through Miller. So either or, pretty fairly priced, especially for the quality that comes with it. So if you guys would like to get yourself one, like again, depends on what you're looking for. I would suggest the Harbor Freight Titanium MiG 140, but if you're doing stuff like I am, and you need that extra level of quality and longevity and parts availability, then by all means buy a Miller. But anyways guys, kept this video relatively short and sweet. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you thought the welds were halfway decent. So anyways guys, if you're new to the channel, hopefully you've considered subscribing. If you've been around a while, hopefully you can go pick up some merch or something and help support the channel. I really appreciate it. We got some new merch in the Big Cartel actually. And anyways guys, I got some work to do, so do what you love, figure out the rest, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.